This is recording number 2 from the chapter 29 lectures. So we were talking about amniotes, and those are animals that lay amniotic eggs. The first animals to lay amniotic eggs were the reptiles. So there are 3 lineages of animals that we refer to as amniotes. First, there's the turtles. And the differences in these lineages has to do with the holes behind their orbit, which is the hole in your skull for your eyes. So a turtle's skull is anapsid. That means it doesn't have any openings behind the orbit, which traditionally, or which we normally see like for ears, So the turtle is anapsid. All the other reptiles, and this includes birds, have a diapsid skull, which means 2 holes behind the orbit. And mammals have a skull that we call it synapsid because there's just one opening behind the orbit. There's one opening behind each orbit. Okay, so and you can see the skulls here. So you can see that a synapsid skull, like mammals have, has one opening on each side. It's called the lateral temporal opening, so that's for the ears. The turtle has none, so that's an anapsid skull. And then the other reptiles, including birds, are diapsid. They have dorsal and lateral openings on each side of their skull for their ears, or for ears and equilibrium, I guess. All right, so we're talking about class Reptilia. The reptiles include turtles and tortoises, lizards, snakes, tuataras, which have a third eye, and crocodilians, which include the crocodiles and the alligators. And we see pictures here of a green sea turtle, a Gila monster, a rattlesnake, a tuatara, and baby Nile crocodiles. And here you can see that what is meant by an amniotic egg, kind of like a, bird egg, the eggs that we eat. That's what is meant by amniotic eggs. The other type of eggs are like fish eggs, and they're just nothing but the embryo inside and then a clear membrane on the outside. They don't have all of this complex stuff in here to protect the embryo while it develops. Birds, evidence shows, evolved from dinosaurs. Bird characteristics are feathers, which are modified reptilian scales, a modified skeleton for flight. The collarbone and many other bones are fused. The sternum has a keel, which I'll show you a picture of in a minute. Respiration is modified. Their lungs are connected to posterior and anterior air sacs. Birds are endothermic, whereas other reptiles are ectothermic. But birds are endothermic. And birds have a well-developed nervous system and well-developed sense organs, especially their vision and their instincts. So here you can see the sternum with the keel, which is designed for flight. I don't know if you can really see. Yeah, okay, so, you can. And look at the blue, the structures in blue. So you have the trachea, which connects to lungs. And then you have posterior air sacs, and you can't see the other ones. There are also anterior air sacs that you can't really see from here, but that's okay. Most birds can fly. Examples of birds that can fly are eagles, geese, mockingbirds, and you probably know many, many more. But some are flightless. Emus, penguins, kiwis, and ostriches are flightless birds. Here we have a bald eagle, a pileated woodpecker, a macaw, and a cardinal. And all of these birds, of course, can fly. Now we're going to move on to the section on the mammals. This is class Mammalia. The characteristics of mammals are hair, mammary glands that produce milk. The skeleton of the mammal, the mammalian skull, accommodates a larger brain relative to body size, and the skeleton and the skull also includes differentiated teeth for whether or not they're carnivores or omnivores or herbivores. Mammals do have a double loop circulatory pathway, this time with a complete 4-chambered heart. There is no divider between the ventricle. It is 2 separate ventricles. And most mammals have not only internal fertilization, but internal development. The first true mammals did coexist with the dinosaurs. And the 3 groups of mammals are the monotremes or egg-laying mammals. You can see here a duck-billed platypus. The marsupials, which carry their young in a pouch while they develop. That's a kangaroo. And the placental mammals, which is most mammals, which give live birth. And so we've got monotremes, which lay hard-shelled amniotic eggs and have a cloaca like birds and reptiles, which is a single opening, urogenital opening. So basically they lay eggs in the same place that they release their waste. Marsupials, just like a chicken. Marsupials, in the marsupials, the females contain a pouch, and then the placental mammals, the placenta, is used for the exchange of maternal and fetal blood. So again, we have some a monotreme here. This is our duck-billed platypus. And then we have some marsupials, the koala bear and the opossum. Many of the marsupials, I would say most of the marsupials, are native to Australia. This is a list just for interest, just because you might find it interesting to look up these different examples of placental mammals. And that concludes our second lecture on Chapter 29. Make sure you study your Chapter 29 practice test until you make 100.